Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. I've got a list of plant chores here that I do need to get through today, and I thought I'd pick up the camera and take you guys along with me. So if you've got anything that you need to do with your plants, or even if you just need a little bit of motivation like I did earlier on, feel free to grab those and do them along with me. Before we do get into the list though, if you are new here, hi, my name's Amy and this is my jungle. I create videos to share my hobby as well as document my houseplant journey. If you do enjoy the content, please don't forget to give it a like, as well as hit the subscribe button for more planty content. If you're not new here, thank you again for joining me. I really do appreciate having you here. Now, looking at my list, I have got some plant watering that desperately needs doing. I've got a couple of plants that are looking very sorry for themselves at the moment, a bit wilted. So I think I'm going to get those in the bath first and water them down. I have also, let me just grab it, got a new fertilizer that I am looking at trying out. So use this for a few weeks and see how it goes, and I'll give you guys an update on how I'm finding it working with my plants. So I do just need to mix this up before we use it. I've got a couple of plants, one of which is right above me, my Cebu Blue, that's got a few yellowing leaves on it. So just going to be trimming those back. And I think there are some on one of my Spaphiphyllums as well. Then I've got a few bits to do with some of my moss poles. So I think I am going to water those and then look to add in additional moss to those that need topping up. And then I've got a couple of extensions that I'm going to look to do as well, just because those plants have now reached the top of the poles. And for Christmas, I also got, I don't know if I'll be able to fit this all in, but the standing Barina grow light. So if I've got time, I will look to put that together as well in this video and get it all set up. So like I said, I think the first thing I'm going to do is get the plants that need to be watered into the bath, water them through, and then water down the moss poles, just because I feel like it'll give them a chance to soak up some of the moisture, and then when it comes to adding in the damp moss, they're already wet the whole way through. So far in the bath, I've got my Spaphiphyllum domino, my purple passion plant. As you can see, these two look very sad where they are needing a good drink. But I'm not too worried because they are plants that will bounce back once they have had a water. And then, although this one doesn't look as sad as the other two, I do know it is due for a water. It is one that does sit quite near a radiator, so it does tend to dry out quite quickly. So I'm just very hot on making sure this one is watered. And as you can see, we do have a few yellowing leaves at the bottom. I think these are just where they're old leaves that have died off. So I'm just going to remove those before we do water this one. Got my scissors for the other one over here. Sometimes I do leave them on until they get really yellow, as I know that the plants do still use them. But I think it really does depend on the plant a lot of the time as to what decision I make. Okay, so that's those. Right, so I'm just going to get you guys set back up on the stand, and then we'll mix up the fertilizer for these guys. Okay, so now I'm going to mix up my fertilizer. I've got my two watering cans here. This one is 2 litres and this one is 1 litre. And on the bottle, it does have the instructions for use. So the Elho watering can will be 10 mil as it is 2 litres, and for this one it'll only be 5 mil. It has also got instructions for if you're watering your propagations, and also for like hydroponic growing, so like all of my plants in semi-hydro. It also does say that you can do foliar feeding, so it can be sprayed or misted onto plant foliage, which isn't something I'd ever thought to do before, but maybe going forwards, I will look to utilise that depending on how I get on with this fertiliser. So to measure it out, not too bad. It hasn't got a weird smell to it either. I've got this little plastic shot glass, so I'm just going to pour some in there. And then I have got this syringe that gives me a milliliter measurement. So I'm just going to take out, I mind one of these at the moment. So, okay. So just measured out 10 mil, and that's going to be going into this watering can here. And then I'll do the same again, this time. Up to 5 mil, and that will go into my 1 litre watering can. And then I'm just going to pop this little bit back in here. Sometimes I would just eyeball it, but where I am using a new fertiliser, I think I'm going to stick to using the syringe for now, just so I can make sure that what I'm putting in is accurate to what my plants need, and then play about maybe a bit later down the line. This water will be used to not only water the plants that are through in the bathroom, but also for my moss poles as well. As they do have roots growing into them, it makes sense that there should be some form of feed for those roots within the moss poles. So I'll also fill up my little squirty bottles from the watering cans, because I think these are 250 millilitres. So yeah, I'll probably just fill those up from there, as opposed to trying to work out how much I need to put in to 250 millilitres of water. Cebu Blue, which we're currently training to climb the wall, but as you can see, I think these are just from where it's missed a watering or two. Just got a few yellowing leaves up here, so I'm just going to quickly trim those back. Some of them are just pulling off. I think I'm also going to take off the ones that are, you guys can see that, just starting to turn. The ones that are sort of looking like they are heading on the way to yellowing as well. I think from what I can see, that is all of them. There we go, she's looking a lot better, having those yellow leaves removed. So just these few here, and I think it is literally just from where she's missed a few waterings. But yeah, really excited to watch this one continue to trail along the wall. So this room has got the majority of my moss poles in. I've obviously got the ones that are over here. There is one, I think, on the floor just out of shot, which is my El Choco. So I've got these ones on this shelf and then the ones that are up here. There's also some on the opposite side of the room as well. And then a couple down on the floor over here. So what I am going to do, I'm going to bring you guys in a bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. But I'm going to start with the ones up here and on this shelf over here. Any that are still a bit damp that I am looking at adding more moss in, I'm going to leave those, add the moss and then water them after. It's more if they are dry that I think I'm going to just let them... it's just if they're dry, what I want to do is have it so that the moss is damp. Just because then once the moss that I'm going to be adding goes in, it's all sort of consistently moist the whole way down. So when I do then start watering it, it is drying from the top downwards as opposed to the bottom being completely bone dry and then the top still being quite moist. So I usually only fill the cups up part way so that they can drain down. And then if the pole does need any more water, I can then go through and top them up again. Pink Princess is one I'm going to be adding some more moss into, so I'm going to leave that for now and then we'll go in and water it once I have added some moss in. I'll bring her a little bit closer. As you can see, she has grown above where the moss is, so where I want these roots to grow into the pole, I am going to add a bit more moss just above it. The verrucosum is still moist within the cling film. So what I am going to do is I'm going to leave this one so I can top it up and then water it through with the cup. And then move this watering globe onto one of my other plants at a later point. And I'll look to do the same with my medium silver as well. So now in front of me, I've got some plants here that I need to add some additional moss into before I water them through. And that is my Philodendron El Choco Red, Philodendron Pink Princess, a medium silver, Philodendron verrucosum, and then my golden pothos as well, right towards the back. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go through and add some more moss into each of those, then pop them back in their places and look to give them a water through. So with the golden pothos, you can see she is still quite away from the top of this pole extension, but I am finding I am topping this up very regularly. So I think what I'm going to do, just to save myself a job in the future, is I'm just going to look to fill it up to the point where I can rest a cup in the top. And then the next time I'll hopefully need to add any more moss to this pole will be when she has another extension. Yeah, I don't feel like it's going to be a waste of moss purely because of how quickly this plant has been growing, reaching where the moss is and going back up again. So yeah, I just think in the long run, it's probably going to save me a lot of time and make it easier watering, because with the watering globes, I'm having to then change them out because they're not, even the big green one that I've got, it's not saturating the whole pole in one go. I'm having to, as I say, reuse it and give it like 2 or 3 water throughs before the pole is actually saturated. So yeah, this one I'm just going to fill up pretty much to the top with moss. So I'm just going to take it up to the point where I can pop this little cup in and it is making contact with the moss, just because then I can water it through a bit easier without the use of the watering globes. I don't know if it's just me and I'm just a messy plant parent, but does anyone else find working with moss to be super messy? Like, it literally goes everywhere but the pole a lot of the time, I feel. But I don't know if that's just me and maybe there's a better way of filling these guys up, but as of yet I haven't found it. A little bit more. Perfect. So that will make watering a lot easier going forwards, because I'll just have to fill the cup up. But now this one can also go back. So the next two plants I'm going to be working with are my Philodendron Splendid and my Philodendron Glorious. Both of these need pole extensions, so I'm going to jump on and do those now. As you can see, the Glorious has been wrapped in cling film, and that was just because it wasn't really rooting into the pole. But having a quick look, I can now see some roots in there, so I might take the cling film off and see how we go. But I'm going to start with the Splendid. So I've got two moss poles here, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start by filling in some of this one and possibly adding just a tiny bit more to the top of the Splendid pole. I must admit I'm quite proud of myself because I'm using my potting mat and not just doing it on the floor as I usually do. That's not to say that I haven't still made a mess of the floor, but less of one than what it would have been. Slot this pole inside. A little bit of bamboo just to push the moss down and close any gaps. think I'm just going to add a little bit more moss just to the top. Now that both the Splendid and Glorious have acclimatized, they have been pushing out leaves quite consistently for me. So I'm quite excited to watch these two start to size up. And what I'll probably look at doing once we've got, I don't know, maybe 2-3 more leaves on each of them, is I might try air layering and then propagate into repot into the base of the pot just to make them a bit fuller. Air layering isn't something that I have attempted before, so definitely something I'm excited to sort of have a go at and see how it works firsthand. So that is the Splendid done, and as you can see, we've got a new leaf coming in just there. And then the next one is the Glorious. So, like I say, this was wrapped in cling film just because it wasn't rooting into the pole at all, and I couldn't figure out why. I was keeping it consistently moist, it was against the pole, and nope, nothing, didn't want to do it. So I thought, well, why not try utilising some cling film, as I've got some spare, and it's worked with the varicosum, and it looks to have worked with at least part of the Glorious. So I'm just gonna bring it a little bit closer so you can see, but we have got some roots now in the pole. So yeah, really pleased that I gave that a go for this plant. Does look like it is just maybe 2 nodes so far that have rooted into the pole. But yeah, I feel like I can take the cling film off now and potentially, you know, utilise it for another plant to try and encourage them to root in. Yeah, again, like I say, another one that I will probably give it another 2-3 leaves before I then look to air layer and chop and prop. So I'm going to pop these back and give them a water through, tidy this up, and then have a look at the list and see what else is left to get done. Okay, so far we have watered the plants, watered all of the moss poles, trimmed off the dead leaves. We've also extended the moss poles on the Philodendron Glorious and the Splendid, and topped up the moss on the Pothos, El Choco, Verrucosum, Pink Princess and Amedrium. Okay, so the next one I'm going to tackle is going to be putting together this Barina standing grow light. As I say, this was bought for me for my for Christmas, so it has just been sort of sat in the box until I've had the time to actually sit and do it. So I'll just get into the box. So I've got a little instruction booklet here. So it seems like it's a very simple way of putting this on. Basically, we're just going to twist the actual light into the base and then plug it in. But it does have a page in here for if you wanted to utilise it as sort of a grow bar, which is pretty cool. So that's good to know. But like I say, I'm looking for a standing light to go in front of some of my plants. So let's just get into all of the bits in here. Okay. Right. So these are the little bits for if you want to use it as a strip light, but we're not going to need those because I do want it as a standing light. Now I'm just going to plug it in so we can see that it does work. And there it is. So it is one with a flick switch to turn it off and on, and those I do prefer because at some point this year I do also want to have it so that my plant lights are on smart plugs so that they can come on and off at set times, or I can do it from my phone if I'm away on holiday and things like that. The only thing is that the smaller unit has got ones that unfortunately I can't do that with, and I'm not going to get rid of the lights just because. So those will be the only ones that I will have to manually look to turn on and off going forwards. I feel like with this light I could have done with going a bit taller, but I guess for now it is what it is. I've got some smaller plants that it can go in front of anyway as well. But I might look to see whether or not they do have a taller one, or if they do things such as extensions for these lights. But yeah, I just wanted to give them some light coming from the front as well. But that I think is going to be it for today's video. If you have enjoyed it, please don't forget to give it a like, as well as subscribe to the channel for more planty content. If you guys did do anything along with me, I hope that you managed to accomplish your task list, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care and have a lovely weekend. Bye.